on to help you with that.
Okay, we are
I guess we have to get.
connecting. Okay, ladies, Facebook. Okay, Elizabeth, do you have your opening ready? Because we are live right now.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Garvish. This is Beyond the Border, your radio show about all things immigration. I'm joined today. I'm an immigration attorney here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm joined today by three other amazing expert immigration attorneys in the field. We have lots to discuss. We have 1 hour today. I'd like to turn it over to Audra to introduce herself and talk about her practice area, and I'll go last.
Okay. I am Audra Doyle. Good morning, everyone. I own Doyle Law in Atlanta, Georgia, and we practice employment and family-based immigration. Our focus is on scientists and researchers who are doing work in the national interest or people with extraordinary ability, and we help those people use their talents and skills to immigrate to the United States. All right, Alicia, you want to go next?
Yeah. Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alisa Gornstein. I'm a managing partner of Gornstein Global, a law firm in Atlanta, Georgia, practicing in both personal injury and immigration law. In immigration, we specialize in family and business immigration, various types of. So if you have any questions today, we'll be glad to respond.
Janora?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Janora Hawkins. I'm a partner with Fragman, Delray, Burnson, and Lowy. We're a global worldwide law firm. We do both U.S. immigration, which is my specialty, as well as global external. So if you want to go somewhere, if you want to leave the United States, if things don't change in November, we can help. And I guess, Elizabeth, you had asked us for a fun fact about ourselves. Are we supposed to tell a fun?
Yeah. We go back around to our time and do that intro, but I wanted to get everybody introduced.
Okay.
I'm Elizabeth Garvish. We are all colleagues here in Atlanta. We all collaborate. We work on different committees with our bar associations. I think the immigration bar is such a collegial, bar association. We're not fighting. Generally, we're helping each other. So thanks to you guys. It's really wonderful we're going to discuss how the immigration world is now. If you haven't watched our show before, you know how it is, but we're fighting this battle together. But my name's Elizabeth Garvish. I have a firm called Garvish Immigration Law Group. We're business, boutique, family-based immigration practice. I focus on physician and medical professions. So I represent a lot of hospitals and medical practices around the country. And so I wanted to go around and just kind of break the ice and make it a little light. I feel like it's so heavy in the immigration world right now. But I want I'm going to start, okay? Fun fact about yourself. The biggest change in your law practice since March and COVID-19. So we've now been at this, and I think I asked this question in a previous show, but we've been at this for, we're in July now, 4 months. There's been a lot of things that have happened. And some people have, really done some amazing things. Some others that are not in this room have probably shrunk away and fizzled down. So, and then I also want to hear about one thing you've learned during the lockdown. So learned about yourself, about the world, something creative, and it could be positive or negative. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And fun fact about myself is that, and I think this kind of, led me to, kind of want to do immigration law and want to have a world that's open with, all kinds of culture and people in our country. But I have two 4-year-olds under my chair right now. But I actually spent my 10th birthday in Moscow in the Soviet Union. I skateboarded down the Great Wall of China the next year. So my parents took us on these crazy trips. And we have Spider-Man as our co-host. Okay. And then Egypt and Israel and during apartheid. So I experienced some really crazy things in my life as, a young child. And I felt like that's what I want to do for my children. But that's a fun fact about me. My biggest change during COVID-19 to my law office is I really saw how amazing my team is. And I also saw how we are so agile and we're able to pivot and change and move. We're not frozen. And I feel like this is what I feel like the 3 years as immigration lawyers during the Trump administration has really, kind of prepared us for something like this pandemic. So we're able to literally change, pivot, do whatever. We got to go virtual. Let's go virtual. And I mean, and now we're going to be able to we're going to be a virtual firm. I was even thinking I could live somewhere else outside the country, run my practice, and it's going to be okay. So there's a lot of positive things that have happened, to the law practice. And you know what? There was a lot of doom and gloom. Like the first conference call I had with my entrepreneurs group, it was so heavy. And everyone was like, don't pay your bills, do this, hoard your money. I'm like, that's not my core value to do that. I'm going to pay all my bills. We're actually going to do better than we were planned to do. And we actually had a great month in April. We kept going. I just gave raises, instituted bonuses. We added an intern. It's, and I think a lot of it is we're getting shut down at every point by the administration. And I feel that frustration, but we're not going to let that stop us. So I feel like I've learned how strong we are, how agile we are. And this just makes me more excited about moving forward and like anything that we can do, we can handle it. And I think that's a really great lesson to learn. I think if everything is always so, perfect and everything just goes right and there's no struggle in life, you're never going to learn and you're never going to grow. So I always, for these hard times, I always say thank you to God because I know that I'm growing during this time. And then what was the last one? It was what I've learned during the lockdown. Gosh, it's just, I feel like, and I've said this before, but I feel like, yeah, we've lost a lot. I basically have like $3,500 of flights that are not taking in July for various reasons. I had to cancel, which for like the whole family. And, but I've learned, and this is really interesting. And it's happened on the phone yesterday with the U.S. attorney, the federal U.S. attorney. She said she's Buddhist and she's like, the only constant is change. And I was like, oh, that is so true. And I mean, if we just embrace that concept, I think, we're going to be at peace because people are waiting to start their life until this is over, waiting to start their life till like a vaccine is found. You know what? It's going to be something else. Every day is important. So I feel like I'm just forever grateful for every day. And I know that this change I can totally expect. I don't know what's coming, but bring it on. So that's kind of like a little bit of insight into me and what makes me tick. But Audra, do you want to go with those 3 questions?
Absolutely. Okay. Elizabeth, a lot of what you said is similar to the things that I've experienced and, the reflections that I've had on myself and my law firm in the past 4 months. Wanted to start out with a fun fact about me is that this is my second career. Before I became a lawyer, I was actually a teacher. And I have a Bachelor of Music Education. I was a teacher. I was very specialized. And if you've heard of Orff Schulwerk, I was a master certified Orff Schulwerk teacher. So I had a huge change in my life when my husband, who's also a teacher, we decided one of us needed to do something different. 2 music teachers in the family was one too many. So that's how I ended up in law school. And the interesting thing is what I enjoyed about being a teacher, I find a lot of those skills are still really helpful for me as a lawyer. I love working with people. Now they're just grown-ups instead of children. I love helping people, and I still get to do a lot of teaching during my practice as a lawyer. So that's a fun fact about me. What has happened to my law firm? So just like Elizabeth said, I was so impressed and surprised how quickly we could go from a full service in-person law firm to a virtual law firm. And the only person that needed to go into the office was me. Everyone else in the firm could work virtually and do that very well. So I'm super thankful that it's 2020 and that we have all the technology that we need to be a virtual firm. Just like Elizabeth said, I've even hired a virtual paralegal now, which I never would have considered. So this pandemic has encouraged me more to be flexible, to think outside the box with hiring and how I do my cases. And we're still chugging along. We're still doing fine as a law firm. So that has been really wonderful to see. And the thing that I have learned during this pandemic is I have learned, what do my clients need from me? They don't need doom and gloom. They don't need fear. They need information and they need some hope. And so that is something that I'm focusing on more and more. You know, when I do my Facebook Lives, when I talk to them, I try to think about what do they need to comfort them in this difficult process, and what hope can I bring to them? What can I do for their cases to get them done and to achieve those dreams that they have about living in the United States, whether it be working here or immigrating here and eventually becoming a U.S. citizen. So that is something that I've learned is what my clients really need. And we've distilled that down to information and hope.
You're a great leader. I mean, that's a sign of a great leader right there, because you have to, I mean, and I know all of you are, but that's amazing. And I actually have an executive, my new executive assistant is going to be working from Italy.
Yeah, my
Crazy.
new paralegal is Jamaica. So it's incredible. I never would have considered, you know, hiring somebody like that. But, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. And so we all have to do things to make sure that our clients are served.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new time, and I mean, can't be scared of that change. Alicia?
Well, fun fact about me is that, you know, I graduated from 2 law schools in my life. One was in Russia and one in the United States. So when I graduated from one in Russia, I felt like I will never, ever go through that again. However, you know, talking about changes, I came to the US, I went to law school, I graduated, I took the US bar. I'm a practicing US attorney now. And, you know, that experience showed me that, you know, virtually nothing can stop you. If you're dedicated, if, you know, you have your goals, you just go and do it. You get it done. In terms of the current changes that we're all experiencing and what is going on, you know, I've been pro this new type of law practice for quite some time. You know, from the beginning, when we just opened our doors as a firm, I really wanted to go with electronic files, you know, trying to do paperless and stuff like that, hiring people from all over the states who do specialize in certain types of immigration law, in order to make sure that I do have a great team of people assisting me with immigration cases. So having this situation kind of nailed everything down. So now I do understand that we've been going the right direction. And right now it just solidified the fact that, you know, the world has changed, you know, it's been coming. But this pandemic showed us that we are ready. We can go virtual. We can provide different types of services. We can be a lot more mobile and flexible, which is great, because before, you know, I had a feeling why IT people can work from all over the world and, you know, just, you know, feel great about what they do. But, you know, being an immigration attorney, you have to sit in front of your client all the time, you know, without the ability to work from, I don't know, from Italy, or, you know, skating in China and just, you know, providing immigration advice. However, yes, it's been great. It's been challenging because, you know, I have 2 kids now, and, you know, balancing the life and work a bit more difficult because you have to do everything from home. But the bottom line is everything works, and I feel great about it. You know, we've we've experienced growth of clients. And interestingly, it was March, April, May, we signed up more clients when we signed up in January and February together.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I feel like, it's been good on us. It's really nice. And what I've learned that, doesn't matter what you do. If you want to have this flexibility in life, you just need to go ahead and do that. I mean, travel, provide your services, be flexible with your clients, and all of that will greatly benefit your life. Janora?
So you guys are also inspirational. And I was like, my fun fact is I can stand on my head for a long time period. So let's see, I guess on a more serious note, I'm the fifth kid of six. We're all first generation college student graduates. And for me, the way I entered immigration was just accidental. When I was in college, I went to a very, very poor college in southern Mississippi. And they had a very large number of international students because it was so cheap to go to school there. And so I'd never met anybody really from other countries. I'd come from a very small suburb of Memphis, Tennessee. There was very little diversity. And I met all of these foreign exchange students from all over the world, and I would help them get driver's licenses, and I would take them on trips because they were stuck in southern Mississippi with nowhere to go. And it was awesome. So I met, and I did English as a second language, taught English as a second language. And so I met everyone, from Japan to South America to Europe. So it was really cool. Anyway, so that's not really how I became an immigration attorney, but at least it's how I learned what immigration was. Becoming an immigration attorney was an accident, but I love it. I guess the number one change for my law firm. So unlike you guys, we're a huge conglomerate, right? So I don't really get to make single-handed choices about how things go, but we also had to acclimate very quickly. And we have a very large IT system, and we have, everything we would want to do just takes more manpower, et cetera. And so we too have become paperless. And I think, we were sort of going in that direction too, Alicia, where we were trying to sort of get there anyway, just from a environmental perspective. We felt like we were wasting paper and we could go up in flames at any moment based on the files we had in our office. So so we've been trying to do that, but this really pushed us forward. And I think kind of what we all learned, and just echoing what you guys said, is how much or how impressed I am with my team and how excited I am that I can work from home. I think I've really stepped back some of the stuff I probably didn't need to do as a manager, as a partner, as a manager. And I've never been a micromanager, but I think there were things I was holding on to. And I have a junior associate that I think really has been able to shine in all of this, that I've been finally able to give him, the things he should have probably been doing sooner. So I think that's been awesome, probably for both of us. That'll probably be his next review, is like, look how you've shined. So that's been awesome. And I guess the thing I've learned most through this is, personally, I'm probably way more introverted than I realized. I'm not as desperately needing to go out in public as a lot of people are. I mean, I miss having friends over, but I really just want to throw some parties in my home. And I'm like, if I never went out again to a large place with lots of people, I'd probably be okay. So it turns out I can work from anywhere as well, even if I just have to sit in my home all day. And I love working from home. I haven't put on real clothes. I had to urgently hurry to put clothes on today. I put on real clothes, and I don't know, when did you say we started this, Elizabeth? That long. It's been that long. Yoga pants are my friends. We won't talk about the exercise regimen and the other issues that come along with that. But.
Oh, that's so great. You guys are all such amazing women, and we need to get some guys on the show. I mean, this is not discriminatory. It's just I just no, you guys are like my tribe. So you're always ready to say yes to be with us. But so what I want to talk about today, we've had, and we've been talking about this for a long time, but it's just, we're in an election year. For some reason, immigration is a huge deal. The more restrictive you get, the more, big shows and displays of cutting back on immigration. I think the current administration feels like that's going to make their base a little happier. So who suffers is the immigrants, of course, but U.S. companies that employ them and need them desperately, and families with U.S. citizens. So there's a lot of things that are happening that I feel like, and number one, I'm just going to list a few, and I was like, if you guys want to elaborate, but we've had various, and in the guise of COVID-19, we've had an immigrant ban for various employment-based and family-based immigrant visa categories where they cannot come in from abroad. A non-immigrant proclamation for non-immigrants, so H-2Bs, H-1B work, so temporary workers, H-1B professionals, multinational managers, Ls, au pairs, exchange visitors, interns, trainees. They're all not allowed to come in from the outside. So they may have plans to be here. It's not happening. So number one, all those families that wanted to have au pairs for childcare because they're going to have to work from home don't have it. The next thing that's happened as well that we've seen is this news of a furlough of 70% of the USCIS workforce. Also, I think challenges on maybe like letting go of some contractors that produce green cards, not allowing people to get stamps to show that they have a green card if their green card is expired or lost, so that they can even get a job and fill out their I-9 form. There's like, you have to call the 800 number, show I have emergent circumstances. And so what I'm hearing is that all the emergent circumstances are getting denied. And finally, the last thing that literally just blew my mind and just, I went crazy. And there's a whole bunch more. The DACA decision, and the asylum work permits as well. And maybe Elisa, you can talk about some of that. But where this agency is not working as an agency of like conferring benefits, but more of like taking them away. News came out this week that if for F1 students, if they are going to be at a university that is going to go completely online as a precaution to avoid COVID-19 transmission. I mean, we just heard in Atlanta that I think the public schools will be virtual, at least for the next 90 days when they start. So I know Harvard, MIT, they've announced that they're going to be virtual. These foreign students who may be in the US or may be coming to the US will not be allowed to study and not be allowed to be in the US if it's an online program. So they will, and they will be possibly deported and all those other things. So I was like, that is insane. So this is outside of the control of these. Some of these may be in medical school, law school, like professional PhD programs. It's going to be a temporary time. People are online. So they've got to uproot their lives. Students don't make a ton of money, travel back. Maybe it's not safe. Or the students, the universities are going to be, on the other hand, maybe forced to open up classrooms when they really don't feel they want to. So does this make a lot of sense? I don't know. I heard there was a letter from about 100 like leaders and like school, like, and I think they were like government leaders that sent a letter that do not agree with this. But it just
a lawsuit.
My head went crazy. But what I want to ask you guys is, and this is about the furloughs, and then I want to kind of go around. What I'd like to do is like, I want to hear stories, number one, how your clients have been impacted or will be impacted by this, basically the last few months of policy changes. We're not even getting down to, public charge, all of that and all these other new policies that we really haven't seen implemented yet in practice here in the US. But what affects, to your client, maybe your corporate client, your US citizen family, what are you seeing that doesn't seem to be the intended, claimed goal of these changes in policy proclamation executive orders, where we're trying to save, U.S. workers, save jobs for U.S. workers, cut down the spread of the COVID-19, so what can you first do that? I want to go around and I want to hear some stories so people can understand what the real effect of these big shows of power in the immigration area. Next, have you guys seen a downturn in filings in your office? Because that's kind of the purported reason that USCIS is furloughing 70% of their workforce. They're saying there's such a downturn in the applications that they're receiving that they cannot afford to keep workers on. And so in July, they sent a notification of furlough starting August 3rd if they didn't get additional funding from the government. But I'm just wondering, in practice, have you guys seen that? We filed we're filing tons of H-1Bs. We've been filing, our caseload has remained steady. What about you guys?
Yes, caseload is steady. And Elizabeth, I have some theories, if you wouldn't mind me sharing. Answer the second question first. It's very interesting to me that at the same time immigration says we need this funding from Congress, it's $1.2 billion. We have a downturn in our filings, and on the other hand, they're rejecting many cases for no good reason. I have heard many attorneys across the U.S. I'm very thankful it hasn't happened to me, but I'm going to say yet, is that when you send a case to immigration, we're all lawyers. Everything is in that case. They have all the forms that are required. Everything is properly filled in. There have been so many stories of improper rejections. And what that means is you mail your case into immigration, you mail possibly $1,760 of fees, and the mailroom says, oh, well, you forgot to put NA in one place, so we're going to reject this case and we're not going to cash the check. That's happened multiple times. So what they're doing is not accepting money. And then they turn around and tell Congress, well, we're running out of money. It's like they're surprised that their own policy of improper rejections has impacted their budget. So if someone would just walk down to the mailroom and say, hey guys, start cashing those checks, maybe we wouldn't need the furloughs and maybe they wouldn't need this influx of money from Congress.
Well, I don't know if not to disagree. I can't imagine they're rejecting enough that it would cause the furlough. I've heard people talk about rejections, but I think those are one-offs. No one's getting thousands of petitions rejected. We monitor, we're the largest filer of petitions in the US, and we monitor year over year how many, not just our office, but our firm, how many petitions we file. And year over year, we're filing more petitions than we are less petitions. And what's so interesting is this year, because of the H-1B registration, the government saved money by not having to spend all that time on workers having to send back manually all those cases. So this year of all years to be out of money makes the least amount of sense. And it wasn't
it makes no sense.
But I do think there have been many rejections for improper reasons. And I've heard many times they have to mail it back 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So in the space, of 3 or 4 months, which is what they're saying in the last 3 or 4 months, their income is down. And I was thinking, well, all of those rejections, it wouldn't make the $1.2 billion, but it certainly would show that they have a lot more money if they would just accept cases the first time. And that started with the asylum.
An increase in filing. So probably where maybe they're seeing some rejections on one side. I think in fact that I would like them. I think the biggest issue is I don't think they're telling the truth. I don't think there's any accountability. And I think they should have to show us the numbers and show us how they've fallen and give us stats on how many H's they received, how many L's they received, and if anything, in the last 3 months, I've filed more petitions than I've ever filed because of all the people stuck outside the US. Stuck inside the United States who can't leave to go do blanket L's, which is what I would normally have them do. So for anyone listening, when we file petitions, sometimes we have to file them with the service center. Sometimes our applicants can go outside the US, and generally we'll have them go outside the United States and renew everything all at once so that they don't have to do 2 steps, and that they can take advantage of it during a vacation. But because they're not allowed to travel, because there's this travel ban from Europe that says you cannot come back in the US if you go to Europe, then we're having to file here in the United States way more than I've ever filed. In my entire career as an immigration attorney, I filed more in the single last 3 months than I did before.
Yeah,
and
just makes sense at all. And it's just, I mean, we kind of know what it is, but I'm just, yeah, I don't know. How do
the
we?
other thing is ICE got money from DHS. So DHS had money, sent it right on over to ICE, no problem. Why can't DHS do the same thing for USCIS? So they've got enough money to easily send it over to ICE when ICE needed it. Why is USCIS unable to request at least some sort of help without going to Congress and asking for this much money, and without furloughing 13,000 US workers? Because that also doesn't make sense to me. They're saying we got to protect US jobs. We've got to do all these things against immigrants to protect US workers. They're sending 13,000 workers home. So this whole thing, the explanations do not match what is happening.
I think that's a good point too, is that, Trump is saying all of this is to save US worker jobs. And I think the part that's frustrating to me is that most of the people that we're bringing over create US worker jobs. So,
Yes.
For example, I brought in people that did before Apple CarPlay was a thing. Like, I was writing about Apple CarPlay, not understanding what I was writing about, but like writing about this concept of having things that could happen in your car. And I was like, who needs this? And of course, like, I die without my Waze being on my screen when I drive, So like, I mean, we're bringing in the people, and by doing that, once you create that technology, then people have to roll that out. So it creates factory jobs, production jobs, and then of course, the dumbest thing is that we don't have skilled labor in this country. Like, that's not a guess. That is, nobody would be paying me money to bring in people on visas if there were US workers that could do the job. We don't have PhD and master's graduate master's program graduates. If you look at the statistics, like 70% or 78% are foreign graduates from most of the master's programs in the country that are STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. I mean, a ton of liberal arts graduates, but and it makes no sense to me that he's saying, like, we can't lay off workers and then not get, our own government is now laying off workers. And it's like, worry about your own thing.
Yeah.
Like, worry about the government. That's what you manage the government. You do your job right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Something's really fishy. I just have to, so we've been, filing lawsuits based on denials that are crazy. I just feel like sometimes immigration, like, I've seen like such a vicious, I don't know, just it's a vicious attitude towards, like, trying to deny cases. So I've got one, and this is just from yesterday, we got 2 requests for evidence, and I didn't file it. I got it after it was filed, but it was actually like an ex-USCIS director here in Atlanta that did the work for this employer in Atlanta. But, we got this file, and every little thing, you can't, you have to provide this, or, she doesn't meet this qualification or that, or whatever it is. But in the end, they denied it based on the fact that your company name is ABC Company, but your trade name is not ABC, but let's say, Elizabeth's Foods, and those don't match. That was the basis of the denial. So we filed a declaratory action in court, and we got another.
Was it, Elizabeth?
What? Was
it an I-140?
I-140. So then we got another notice of intent to deny last night, and then what they did was they looked back and they said, so it wasn't any of the other issues. I guess we'd overcome those, but they got another issue. They looked back. This is what I've been seeing a lot of times. They look back at the non-immigrant visa application and pass. So she applied for a student visa. She's here on a student visa right now. And basically she put, I guess whatever she put on there was like, work at somewhere, some different work that she did, for a few months. There's like various like internships for a few months at different hotels. And so they required 3 months experience, and she qualified based on a certain job. And now they're saying, well, you lied, you misrepresented a material fact. You didn't put that on your student visa application. And now you're saying you have that experience, so we're going to deny the applications. This is like completely new. They didn't even look into look into that until after the fact, but I've had them do that before. And we actually had the same company, same issue. We overcame it and got the I-140 approved. But this one, I don't know. I talked to her yesterday. She's like, cause it's in, where are they? They're in some country in Asia. Like, I think either Malaysia or, Nepal. So things are a little bit different in Nepal, I think. And because I was like, get me pay records. I want affidavits. I want pictures of you at your job. I want all of these things, like your application for the job. I want email correspondence. Sometimes that's hard to get 5 or 6 years later she has a letter, an employment letter, but just because she didn't put that on her student visa application, which she just didn't even think it was relevant. And I don't even think she filled that out, because I think there's an agency that helps people fill out these applications, but they're coming back and guys, I don't know. I don't like every little job and every little thing. And that's something where we got to be, I ask people now, what did you put on your student visa application?
But you're appealing it because like that's non-material that it wasn't on an IDS 160. Like you'd have to show intent to defraud the government, hiding some facts that otherwise made you ineligible. And so
they're saying that she did the ETA 9089, that she is
fraudulent
misrepresentation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So no, we'll just prove it. I think we'll just prove it. I think if we can do that, I've got to get her in that mind frame. But I had another one just like that, and we're still in court with that one too. But he has like 14 companies. One, his main company at the time on his visitor visa, but he literally owns 14 companies. A serial entrepreneur, and they did the same thing. So USCIS is like, when they get their claws in and they want to deny this poor little like young woman from Nepal or this entrepreneur from Venezuela, like they're like, and it's like, that's fine, but it's a different environment. It's like, I understand there may be some fraud and there may be some issues, but they're making stuff up half the time. It's ridiculous. And so now we're in the court and they're like, well, we reopened the case, and so you probably have to do an amended complaint if that gets denied. This U.S. attorney is very nice, but she told me yesterday, she's like, we are inundated by cases in court because there's so many wrongful denials, and at this point, you can't go to US. I don't know if you guys still would even go to USCIS to file an appeal. I've done that like one time.
I don't bother.
Are you litigating, Audra?
I'm not. I haven't had a litigious client yet, but if I had the choice, I wouldn't bother appealing.
Yeah.
Well, I still hold out hope. that we can get this done. This is not right. It's because what's going to happen, in the end, waste of time and resources is, we're going to have to refile. Is this employer willing to refile this case and go through all of this again? It's just a big, it's kind of a big mess. Let's tell it like it is. It's a chilling effect. Let's make it so hard for you to get an immigrant visa, to get your green card, to get a visa, to come to the US. We don't want you. Let's put that sign out loud and clear. You're not welcome. And if the government does that enough, then, the best and the
brightest. It makes no sense because this man is married to a foreign national. I think that's what kills me the most is our first lady is a foreigner. Now he's stopping families from being reunited. Like I have spouses that are outside the United States with their small children. They can't bring them to the US because they can't get a dependent visa. Like a dependent visa is not helping the U.S. workforce, harming the U.S. workforce. Letting someone stop from joining.
Let's go back to that because let's go back to that. I want to hear from you guys. So I have an H-1B that's here. Unfortunately, the wife left. She doesn't have her H-4 yet, and they have a little tiny 8-month-old baby, and they're abroad. She can't get back. He can't see his child have the first birthday unless he travels there. But borders are closed. It's scary. That's the effect. She does not intend to work in the U.S. She does not intend to take a job from a U.S. worker. She's going to stay home and care for her child because he's like a PhD and makes 6 figures. And she's going to stay home and take care of that baby when they get here. But he's at his wit's end. I mean,
also, if we're a country built on entrepreneurship and capitalism, to me, the fact that the president says we're not going to let people come in and take U.S. worker jobs, I say, fight for your job if you want it. Go get educated. Like we're a capitalist society that says if you can do better, if you like, I'm against capitalism, but let's just play what we play. That's the game we live in, right? And so to me, the fact that we even say like, well, that H4 is not going to get a job, so she's not going to pose a threat. Who cares if she does? If you're a U.S. worker, you're not. They're paid. It's more expensive for them to bring in someone on a visa. So if you're not doing enough, if you're being lazy and think you should just get a job based on your bootstraps of being a U.S. worker, like to me, that's infuriating. Like, how can we say we're a capitalist society and then say we're threatened by, foreigners who can come in and do the jobs better? And I don't mean that Americans can't do the jobs. I think Americans are lazy and we're not doing them. And frankly, I didn't go into STEM. I went into law. So, I'm part of the problem too, if we want to talk about making America, smart again. I have a woman who's giving labor right now and her husband can't go watch her give birth to their first child. And because she's stuck outside the United States and he has an expired visa stamp. And so he can't go because he can't get back in. And his employer, while they're willing to let him work from home, they don't know when he's going to be able to come back in, because if Trump wins, God knows how long this ban will go on. What'll happen next.
At the same time, do you guys think about this, that if right now we do not allow anybody in, right, allow them to stay in the United States legally and work legally, all the big companies will turn around and start hiring people abroad. I mean, we're small firms, like except Genora, but it seems like we can all operate virtually. And the big firms and big companies, they've been doing it for years now. So they have all the equipment, all the technology in order to outsource. And those people will be working from outside the US. They won't be responsible for paying taxes here, and support.
That's a great point. I think that's a really
I just hired, like literally, I put an ad out for an executive assistant. Like I need somebody who's just like going to help me. And like, I looked at, like, I got inundated with resumes. I wasn't feeling any of these people. The salary that they wanted was going to be way higher than I was willing to pay. And, then I looked at another company that outsources like Mexico and like the Philippines, and like they'll do your legal assistant or like kind of your low level like admin person, but really good and smart people with bachelor's degrees. And it's literally like $1,500 a month. That's it. And you have this full-time person. And so I ended up hiring one of our clients who is actually amazing. And I'm paying her like a little bit more than that, but for sure. But I'm going to contract her, so she won't be an employee, and she's, eventually she'll probably be back in the US. And I know this won't be forever. I bet she'll be a lawyer one day, but the quality that I'm getting for that cost, and she's going to be living in Italy. And, and I was like, well, what do you need? What's going to make sure you can have the life and have all your expenses paid? And we came to an agreement. I know she's going to do an amazing job. And I was like, that was it, but going through all these US worker resumes and what they, it's just, it's going to be, it's a different world. And we got to be able to compete. We can't.
I think we've got
the global world. We can't compete and we don't create workers. If we create people that just want handouts from the government, our country's going to.
Who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be paying for it.
I was even thinking, literally when we're in Atlanta right now, and there's shootings. It's bad. Right now it's just so scary. And I was thinking about just like, what kind of life for my kids do I want? And I was watching this show like in the middle of the night, I don't know, the Azores in Portugal. I was like, oh my God, we just need to get a house. Like I can get an amazing house there, run the law firm virtually, we'll go have this idyllic life abroad, and just, we can come back occasionally, but I don't have to worry about guns. I don't want to have to worry about like all this fighting and divisiveness, and I can just kind of.
And they'll get a really great education. They'll get an equal great education.
I know we're definitely gonna do like a year of travel. Like definitely. I'm manifesting right now. Like I will share another time all of my goals, but like I'm manifesting all these things. Like in great detail about what our life's going to look like. And but yeah, I mean, it's like, I think a lot of this that's happened, it's like, wow, this is cool, because we really, like, I thought, oh, and I bought an office building. Now I'm gonna probably tear it all down and build something else. That's the next thing. But I'm like, we don't need it. We really don't need that much space.
Yeah, we just bought a new office.
I can hire a lawyer from any other state. My lawyers can be working abroad. As long as they're licensed in the US, so there's like, the world is opened up. I know, and oh, it's so bad. Everything's, oh, this is horrible. The world has opened up to us, guys. So if we just think about it in this way, and we have a choice, like literally, like if I don't want to stay, like if you look around, like if I could turn the computer around, like I'm in the middle of the city, but I have trees all around me, birds are chirping. It's so like, kids, we can ride our bikes in the streets, and it's awesome. But right down the road, there's little 8-year-olds getting shot, and that scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, but we talk about a virtual world, but even though we can do our jobs virtually, we may not have jobs to do anymore after this year.
This is true.
If there's on a new election, no one's going to want to come here. And like, if people can work virtually, they don't need visas. So, like, I think that goes back to Alicia's point, which is, if people are going to start opening up and say, fine, we just won't bring people here, we'll have them do it virtually. I mean, most of my clients have learned that their foreign nationals can work virtually. And so there's some incentive.
This is true, but I have faith in America, like literally, and I love America. And it's not that I don't want to, this is my home. I just want to have those experiences somewhere else, maybe. And I definitely want my family to do that. But I still have faith that this, the opportunities we have here are just like so different from other countries. And I think that's not going to go away.
I think they used to be different than other countries. And what we've done now is turned our back on the entire purpose of our country, which was to welcome people and to provide opportunity.
I agree. And I this is a sad time. This is the dark, dark time. But, again, in the darkness, like there have been many dark times in the last century. Like, if you watch any of those movies in medieval times, like King, they like killed all their wives. They beheaded everybody.
What taught you is they taught you about empire building, and we've been an empire for a long time. So this might be the end of our empire. We might have a reality TV dude take us out. It'll be an embarrassing end. Most people went out fighting and then, with like some sort of dignity. We might just go out.
And that's okay. And I guess when we're fighting this battle, we have to look at where are we going to be? Are our practices going to change? Like what do we have to do to pivot? We're just going to have to like implement that into like our life. And yeah, maybe things aren't going to be the same. I mean,
I'm going to be a bartender on a beach at ACLU.
I'm a great immigration lawyer. Like I will be fine. Like signing off. I wanted to build something. You want to build something, but if we have to change, we'll innovate. We'll change. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Like I was
thinking outbound immigration might be very popular.
Yeah, exactly. And like the a lot of times the end of things is not always, things get phased out, things end, but newer, brighter things happen. So I just refuse to have that fear creep in. I feel like that's what Trump does. He's like, he panders to fear. He panders to that lowest, like scariest place in everyone where, it takes away humanity. If you take away a human face from someone, then, you can put them all in a group and they're this and they're that and they're nothing. And like, but if, calling illegal, aliens, all those terms are just so derogatory. And that's, it's all calculated. It's all calculated. And you guys, here's what we're supposed to do, honestly, before we end. And if you guys have any more things to add about,
Alicia, tell us about EADs real quick.
Oh, the EADs, yeah, the asylum EADs, just this recent new hiccup in the immigration law. Well, I mean, there are two biggest concerns that the number one biggest concern is that right now people cannot apply 150 days down the road after submission of their asylum application. Now they have to wait a year before they can apply for the EAD. And it's enormous amount of time, considering somebody's fleeing their home country. They're in fear for their life and freedom. They have to come to the United States. And now in the United States for 1 year, they cannot be employed. That is horrific. And another thing is that the USCIS eliminated the 30-day rule when USCIS has to adjudicate the EAD application. So right now, considering that probably USCIS will operate after the furlough, we don't even understand how many people will continue working at the USCIS. So after they wait for 1 year, they file, and then they wait for another year for the adjudication. This is interesting. So what I feel, lately, it was a lot less in the, at least, what I've seen, that people from the former USSR greatly stopped applying for asylum because asylum law has changed. It became a lot more hostile, but now I believe we're going to see even further decrease. And I've read that there's a new proposal from the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Justice is that during these times, we will even start removing people who apply for asylum at the border because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I've said it before. What is on the Statue of Liberty? I just don't think that this is the country. This is not the value, the core value of the United States, what is happening now. And the four of us for sure, and so many other people in the United States disagree with what is happening. And we do have an election coming in November. So the best thing that American citizens can do if you don't like what is happening is you need to make sure that you're going to go vote on that first Tuesday in November. That is the only way that we have a possibility for things to change and to get better. Our system does work. We can vote. We can support another candidate if you don't like the one who is in office now. And we have term limits too. So a president can only be in office for 8 years. And for me, every time it's, Alicia, what you're saying, it just hurts my heart. I've got families separated. I've got businesses struggling, and it's really sad. And the only thing I can do is make sure that I give my clients hope, like I said at the beginning. And also, we have to keep our fighting spirit. As lawyers, we are fighters. It used to not feel that way, maybe more professional, and we had a professional relationship with immigration. We certainly did. We could work together to solve problems, but now we are just fighters, and we have to fight for every single case, just like Elizabeth is doing with that ridiculous denial and new notice of intent to deny. We have to fight on every case. That's what our clients need for us. So when the world gets too much, and when all of these policy changes are too much to bear, the one thing I know I can do is show up and fight for those cases that I have in my hands. Yeah. That's what we all have to do.
Good inspiration.
This is what I've said. Don't let Donald Trump ruin your life. Don't let Donald Trump, okay, so you've got a Trump supporter in the family. Don't let Donald Trump get in your family relationship. You believe what you believe. You live that life, and you fight for what you believe in. All throughout history, there have been people that have this is the time when we can really shine. This is the time when change is going to be made. Anyway, we have a couple minutes left, and I just want, I like to end just on, I want everybody to do a one-word close. So whatever you're feeling right now and why, and then we'll close it out, and then hopefully we can convene next month and see how things have changed. You want to go, Audra?
Okay. I guess my word is fight. Going to keep fighting for my cases. I'm going to keep fighting for policies to change. And that's what I feel that I need to do for all of my clients. That's what they need from me. And that's how I can help these people who want to come to the United States.
It's funny because when Elizabeth asked for a word, I thought of peace.
Yeah. Gentle fighting, Alicia.
And, you know, only because, you know, I'm a fighter and I always fight. I thought about peace because I wanted to, like, you know, just send the message of emotional and physical peace, because the entire country is in distress and the peace is what we need. I mean, less fight, more peace, and then probably we have this little bit more harmonious life and,
Yes.
you know, get back into normal and balancing situation. So yeah, I call for peace.
I think mine's appreciative. You know, I think what I've learned in all this is that I'm very lucky that I've been so successful in my life. I'm very lucky that, you know, I have a family that I can rely on. I'm very lucky that my job has not been impacted. And I think I'm very appreciative for those people in our community, both immigration attorneys and those that fight outside of immigration, sort of for the same thing, that are doing that, making those fights. I think I'm very appreciative for the movements we've seen come out of the Black Lives Matters and, you know, looking at our world. I think I'm just grateful that there are good people out there. And I think I just have to remind myself on a routine basis that, you know, while there's a lot of change that needs to happen and there's so much we need to do, that I'm just very appreciative that there's a world in which we can do that in, and there are people that will fight with us and make peace with us.
I think I'm going to go with, I have like lots of words, but I feel like healing. And, you know, my other one was love, but, you know, I just want to send out like some healing. There's a lot of hurt people out there. A lot of fearful people, a lot of people feeling not heard. And I just want to send out healing to their hearts. And, you know, I really think it's important to be able to step into someone else. We can't completely understand another person's circumstances, but in the world today, like, I feel like it's really important. And as a leader, and we are all leaders, to be able to be empathic, step into somebody else's place and try to understand. And then a lot of times when there's hurt there, you know, it needs healing. And that's what I pray for everyone. So I feel like there's a lot of hurt going around. But I know we have some, if this panel is any reflection of the kind of people we have leading us in the world, I think we'll be okay. Anyway, this is Beyond the Border, the WCEG network. I had a great time talking with all of you guys. We should be back next week. I'm not sure what day with our immigration radio show, but we really appreciate everyone listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.